Okay. Yes, sir. Family, go ahead on and tag and share. We are family, go ahead on the tag and share. We are live. I need you to go ahead on the tag and share. Let's get everybody in. We're going to have an amazing conversation today. You don't want to miss it. So go ahead on tag and share. Let's get everybody in on all of our platforms. Let's make it happen on today. Call a neighbor, call a friend, everybody tuning in. Want to say good afternoon and once again, welcome to, that's right, it's the Greg James Community Show right here over Hallelujah 95.3 FM. And listen, we got so much going on in the city. When I tell you we got a lot going on in the city, we got a lot going on in the city. We are in the midst of a new coach coming to FAMU. As a matter of fact, Charlie Ward takes to the court tonight, I believe, against Jacksonville. TMH, Florida State Health have kind of reached the deal. And that's going down today. Also, big news about the administration over at the Leon County School Board, all of these increases in salaries at the top. And listen, we still in the midst of so much shooting. We could talk about all of that, but since we are in the holiday season, I felt like there's no other way to bring and put joy in your life other than to be talking to one of Tallahassee's own, grew up right here in our city, and a graduate of the Mighty Baby Rattlers and FAMU alumnus, right. None other than Mr. Gregory Anderson. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm so great. Just glad to be here with the home people and just getting a chance to share all the love, and excited to do to present this Christmas movie because as a kid growing up in Tallahassee, not only did we always do Christmas nativity and plays of that nature at the churches around town, especially Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, but at FAMU High, now FAMU DRS, before that Lucy Moulton, we would have Christmas plays, and my mother was very involved in that because she was a teacher there, first, second, and third grade, and so I was loved doing those throughout my childhood, and I've been blessed to be able to present those again, but now in a movie form with Deck the Hallways. That's airing now and streaming now on Lifetime.
Wow. Well, listen, I tell you, I want to dive into that, Greg. But before we dive into that, I want to talk a little bit about, take us down the path that has gotten you on this journey. I mean, there's so many things that you've been able to accomplish in the field that you've been in. But let's take a look back. How did this become a reality? The writing, the producing. What was that part of the things to do list when we got ready to graduate from FAMU High? We had to take a picture and say what we wanted to be when we left school.
Absolutely. As many of my elementary and middle school and all my classmates and people at FAMU High would tell you, I always loved everything from writing, be it comic books, be it plays. I was always kind of creating these different ideas. I even in our Cub Scouts, I had this home camera that I would walk around with, and I fancied myself like a Spielberg or whoever. And so I remember the very first play that we did in school was called Kenny Careless. and it was all about keeping your teeth clean. And I mean, you would have thought I was doing Shakespeare. I was so into that play. And thank you, Mrs. Barbara Rouse and everybody that was involved in that play. And then as we went on and got a little older, thank you, Miss Trueblood, Miss Bradwell, and all the teachers as I got older, that Miss Lawrence, that continued to help me blossom that talent, and then infusing the music with Miss Kemp and Mr. Moore, and all of those things kind of tied together. But I was always told as a little kid, like 2 or 3 years old, my relatives, aunties, uncles, and even my parents said I would, they always noticed before I could even really speak, I would say these different things, and then all of a sudden I would bow. And they realized, oh, wait a minute, this boy's putting on a show. And then as I got a little older, like 5, 6, 7 years old, I would write out plays and give them to my cousins and relatives to act out during the holiday season, especially around Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that dream, it followed me, all the way through high school and middle school. But in middle school, and there was AXO with the NAACP, and that was a really great thing too. I think as I started to get into high school, I started to like wane away from it, and just, I was more like into the band and all these other things. But when I got to college, somewhere around my junior year, I realized the bug had struck me again. And part of that was I started taking some theater classes under Dr. Valencia Matthews, who now is obviously a huge dean and all this kind of stuff. At that time, she was one of the drama professors. And I realized, wait a minute, I've always wanted to do this, and I want to do it again. And almost at that same time, it was kismet, because there was a cinema club that was started on FAMU's campus at that time. It was started by Rob Hardy and several other people, and then also Will Packer, and then that became, in the future, that became Rainforest Productions. But at that time, it was a cinema club, and that club was making a movie called Chocolate City. And I was at that time the vice president of our student government, and we were very supportive of that movie, and kind of also helping in any way we could to help it, come alive. And I remember it like yesterday. It was the back of like Perry Page, and it was the Dust Bowl. There was a thing called the Dust Bowl, and I think a lot of you all may remember it was a place where the band would practice at that time, and you could park cars out there. It wasn't really a parking lot; it was just a dusty area with grass. And I was walking to my car. I saw Rob out there, and they were preparing to take the movie to Los Angeles to show it at a short film type of event. And that event would one day become ABFF, the American Black Film Festival. But at that time, it was just a series of smaller events that would take place in New York, LA, Chicago. We're coming out there to show it there. And I said, I'm coming. And I jumped on a plane, went to LA. And then when I got back to campus, I knew I needed to do everything in my power to get back there. And brother, let me tell you, one of the things I did, I said, I need to get an internship in LA. I didn't know anything about getting no internship. This is before the internet, before cell phones, in terms of everybody having easy ways and easy access. So I got this book sent to the FAMU library called The Creative Directory, with all of this information about Hollywood. I sent out 1,000 letters. I got 3 back. 2 was no.
Wait. You sent out 1,000 letters and only got
it was over 1,000. But at 1,000, I just said forget it. I'm going, hey, how you doing? At 1,000, I gave up at that point counting. And I want to thank the late great, rest in peace, Miss Shirlene Jordan, Shirlene Jordan worked in Cesta. She worked in Perry Page, God bless her soul. And she worked for President Perry at that time. Obviously, he was a president emeritus, and God bless her because she helped me with getting those letters out. And out of those letters, I only got 3 responses, and 2 was no, but all you need is 1.
That's right.
And that 1 yes was from New Line Cinema, and I went to intern for a lady named Valerie McCaffrey, and she was the vice president of casting at New Line. And I remember going out on the set, telling my friends and classmates, whoever wanted to ride with me, I'm going to LA.
Greg, I got to stick a pin there because listen to what you said. I remember telling my friends, whoever want to ride with me, I'm going. You felt it. You knew it.
I knew once I got the letter back. I remember every day I would come back and say, Shirlene, Miss Jordan, did you hear anything? No, ain't no letter came back for you. No letter came back for you. And then one day a letter came and said no. And another letter, it came, said no. And then finally one came and it said yes. And I said, oh, this is it. I don't need any more yeses. This is the yes. This the yes I'm waiting on. Yeah. I just need to know how to get there. And at first I was a little nervous. And one of my classmates that also lives here in Tallahassee, her name's Amelia Davis. She went from kindergarten to FAMU all the way to senior year. She was going out there, not for Hollywood, but for another career. And she said, I'm gone. I'm already there. So I know you ain't scared. So I went on this set, and I used to do this because at that time I was auditioning because I wasn't sure if I wanted to be an actor or a producer or a writer. So I had agents in Florida and Georgia where they would send me off in auditions, and I would go on the set and I would find out whoever wanted to ride with me, you could ride with me to Orlando or ride with me to wherever. And I would in Orlando, I would stay with one of my frat brothers, Omega Psi Phi Upsilon Psi, one of my frat brothers' grandmother's house, Bakari Burns at his grandma's house, if I was doing an audition there or if I was auditioning somewhere else. And I would usually get somebody to drive with me. And then I would say, hey, we get there, I'll pay for whatever you want to do. We can do whatever. But once we get there, you drive and come back and I'll be able to rest up for the audition. So this was the big ride. Whoever's going to ride with me to California,
wow,
I'll fly you back because I need somebody to ride with me. And one of my classmates, Sonia Swanson, she's with the Dallas-Fort Worth Alumni Association at FAMU. She said, I'll ride. And we got in the car. We took 10 all the way there. And I got to LA. I worked with Valerie McCaffrey for almost a year. And I remember her saying to me, I could give you a job as a PA or something like that, a production assistant. But if you want to do this industry, you got to do it. She was like, you look over there, right there. You see that guy right there? That guy says he's a director, but he's been my secretary for the last 10 years. And that's an honorable profession. Wow. But he came here to be a director. But he's gotten this job and it's cushy, and he's no longer living his dream. Now, if you want to take that trek, it's fine. But if you want to do this, you got to jump out and do it. Around that same time, 2 of my classmates, Rob and Will, were in Atlanta, and they were preparing to do a film called Trois, looking for independent investors. I came to Atlanta. We got the investors together, made that movie, and that began to ride. And we got that film made. And just to let you know how real it is. We got that film made. We showed it at the American Black Film Festival. Because if you go back to when we were in college, just maybe a year or 2 before, right, it wasn't a festival yet. It was just like a cafe event that they would have in different cities. Now they were having it. It was called the Acapulco Black Film Festival. But now it's called the American Black Film Festival in Miami. We go there. They said, we're not in the competition, but they're going to show the movie. We promoted that movie the same way we would promote movies or to promote parties at school, like frat parties or parties around town. Everybody came, they loved it, but we couldn't get distribution to save our life. So we had to independently distribute that film. The film went on to be a big success. Sony Pictures and Columbia's TriStar came on and gave us essentially a home entertainment deal. We went on to make several straight to I guess at that time VHS or DVD or whatever it was, Blockbuster, Redbox, on. And then finally one of them blew up, and that was Stomp the Yard. And away we go. And everybody kind of was able to go off and follow their dreams and everything from there. And then several years later, I reconnected with some more of my classmates at Tridestin Studios, Nakaya Brown, Indy, Nakaya at FAMU, Nakaya Indy Brown Jones was the CEO, Trey Haley. We started a partnership with Carl Weber, the famous novelist, and now we have 3 television shows. We have The Family Business, which airs on, it was airing on Netflix, but it was originally on BET. Now you can find it on Paramount Plus and on BET. We're in our 6th season. And then we have the spinoff, Family Business New Orleans. And then we have the other spinoff, which is called The Black Hamptons. And those are also on BET Plus. And that takes us to today.
Wow. You know, I want to say this, Christy, for those who are listening. I think you said something, Greg, that was so powerful. And for those of you who are listening to this conversation and you're listening to Greg Anderson, I want you to remember he said he put out over 1,000 letters. And even though he was getting no's, that did not discourage him because he was looking for the one yes. And I want to tell you today, you cannot get discouraged by the no's that you get, because the one yes can change your whole life. It's amazing to have this young man joining us today, Christine.
Yeah, as I listen to it, I hear the trajectory of entertainment changing in the realm of your conversation.
Absolutely.
I remember Straight to Video. They called it B movie,
yes.
Right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
B movie. I worked at Blockbuster, so they trained us in the different types of entertainment that they
Absolutely.
had. You had the A,
Absolutely.
where you get a lot of categories of people. A list, the B list, the C list. Those were all entertainment release lists, right? And
Absolutely.
You
yes.
list based upon the category of film. But I hear through your conversation just the transformation of the entertainment industry as a whole, where it went from depending on big networks to distribute to now the democratization, so that you can have your show not being beholden to NBC or not being beholden to ABC or not being beholden to CBS, but you're now on BET and Paramount. And man, that is something else. So it also speaks to the changing of the times as it relates to the opportunity for content, because now content is king. And so speak to that right now, because you're on Lifetime with this new film, but you've been in the business for a long, long time. This is not like a hit it and quit it situation. You've been working toward this and are working other avenues, but you also are working within the realm of the transformation of the industry of itself. Talk to us about that, because I think sometimes we're stuck in a generational gap. The young people get how things happen now because they're living it. We are kind of stuck in the middle as a generation because we don't understand that things change, and you got to understand how that change equals opportunity for you. Can you speak?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that a lot of my classmates who were at FAM in the 90s that we saw, especially the ones that got into entertainment, we were coming into entertainment just as it was on the precipice of change. And then we rode the waves of every single kind of change, because we started when it was just theaters, and VHS was seen like as a secondary device.
Yes.
And then we rolled that through Blockbuster becoming the king, right? And that becoming it. And then the DVD becoming the thing. And then we read through when it became streaming and it became online, and people have been going from MySpace all the way to TikTok. If you think about the journey of riding that over the course of 10 years and surviving throughout that, because with every single one of those pitfalls, so many people couldn't take the change. They couldn't readjust.
Wait. Roll back to that. Say that. That's right there. That was key right there. Some people couldn't what?
They couldn't pivot. They couldn't adjust. They could not move. They didn't understand that the change did not mean the end of the story. It just meant an alteration of that. So the issue that so many people have is they want to look back. But if you look back, you have the benefit of knowing what's going to happen.
Wow.
When you're looking forward, you don't know what's going to happen. So everything that you know has to be written off of faith and belief. So then you don't have that advantage. That means you're going into everything sight unseen. And can you still hold on to the dream that you have and move through the way that has shifted? And we've gone through mergers of companies imploding, the way that we presented movies before at festivals. Now people are presenting them on their devices. Now people are doing verticals and mini movies on their phones and webisodes. And then we were here before YouTube, and now you can present your stuff on YouTube. And so many people who were there in the 90s, we've seen them disappear, and new people come in and disappear as you keep going. And then you have new people come in and ride the wave because they're part of the new generation, but who can survive and keep going as it changes?
Yes.
And part of that was, I think one of the biggest parts that my dad always said was, when you hear the word no, you should hear the word next.
Wow.
So when somebody tells you no, that's next. So it's like, or moving on. So when I would go in for a pitch or I would go in for anything, I wouldn't even wait to hear, are they going to call me back or not? If they call me back, that is something that's going to happen in the future. But in the now, I've done what I've come to do. I get in the car after that interview. I thank God for that moment. And I say next, and I drive off. And I fight every temptation to think about that, because sometimes you may wait 5 months to hear the yes. Or what usually happens is you don't even get the no. You just don't never hear it all until you read in the paper that somebody else got the job. So that's how what tears a lot of people up, because they're spending their time refreshing their computers to see if somebody did the email come. They're calling the agent. Did somebody? I didn't do that. It's even to the point my agent was like, "Well, do you want any feedback or whatever?" I said, "I don't want feedback unless they're calling you to give it to you, because I've gone in that room and given everything I have." Now that's their job to decide, is that what they want for the journey they're on? Because their journey and my journey don't have to be together. They can run parallel. They can run intersect. It can be for a season or a reason. And if it's not either one of those, then I'll meet you down the road. But I have to keep going, because if I don't, I can live and die trying to live by your yes or your no.
Wow. I mean, believe it or not, Greg, I know you are in the films, but right now you're preaching to the community. We got about 12,000 people listening. And to hear you say, I've given it all, and now I'm on to my next. Some people get stuck, Christy, and given it, they're all waiting for a response as opposed to listening. That now you got to go on to the next. Oh, God. Well, I mean,
and it's a leap too. And the leap, if anybody asks, because you're looking at if you think about the students that came out of families that are going into the film business and TV business who become wildly successful, none of us went to a film school, right? I studied agricultural business. Some of my classmates were in film art and engineering. Wow. Some, like NDR, were in SBI. Some were in all these different kind of fields. I think Diane and one of my classmates, Veronica, was in business admin. I want to say Diane was in engineering technology or some kind of something at Cesta. So what I'm saying is all these different people who have gotten into the industry from FAMU. One of the things that FAMU taught you how to do was to have this inner strength within you, be able to walk into the room no matter what the room is, but most importantly, don't be afraid to leap. So we leaped in each one of those situations. Are we going to, when you going to LA, I'm going. I'm going to get a plane ticket and go. I don't know what's about to happen there.
But you're going.
I got there and I said, I'm going to do this. I don't know how to do this, but I know I found out that there's this book that you can get from USC or UCLA's library. So I go to our library and say, can you all get that book on loan? Yes. That book had the emails and phone numbers and fax numbers of all of these execs in Hollywood.
Mercy.
I just started from A and went to Z and just started sending out letters. I didn't know these people from a can of paint. So it was just leaps after leaps. When I got to internship, I didn't know what the internship was going to be about. I didn't know if I wanted to be in casting. I wrote letters to casting executives. I wrote letters to accounting executives. I just wrote letters to anybody in the industry because what I said is, just let me get there. And then the Lord would direct the path once I'm in there.
Yes,
but what I do know is I don't know nobody there. So if I don't know anybody there, then I got to get to know somebody there. But I do know I know the Lord.
Wow.
So then I got to get there. And if I get there, I'll do the rest. And when casting called, I said, well, then that's who I'm going to intern with. And it was a blessing because she was able to instill a lot into me to say, keep jumping, keep leaping. Because if you don't keep leaping, you'll be stagnant in this town. And this thing moves so fast, you'll look around and they'll pass you by if you're not afraid to leap. Wow. So I'm grateful for that.
Wow. Go ahead, Christy, because
I think it says a lot about generations, right?
Yes.
I think we come from folks in generations that understood the power of working under somebody.
Yes.
Understudying, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I think that this generation doesn't understand the power of other understudying.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you want to just be there, you want to be in charge. And if you're not in the place that you want to be in immediately, you give up because it's not what you want. And I think that a lot of this is just being so lost. This is what you're talking about. This kind of pathway process conversation that you're talking about.
Absolutely. Also the different positions, playing different roles. Okay, so every time you may not be the quarterback.
Come on now.
But if you want to move this ball down the field, unlike in sports, if you're in your own position, but sometimes you got to do an audible. Sometimes the QB is not always the QB. Sometimes the QB throws the ball and now it's the running back is the QB. And in this industry to get down the field, sometimes when you partner with people, you have to know how to be able to sometimes be the person at the top, sometimes be the second person as we move. So that means in some scenarios, I might be the lead producer. In some scenarios, I might be the third or fourth producer. In some scenarios, I'm the writer. In some scenarios, I'm writing in a partnership. But what I realized was each one of these is getting me down the field. And while I saw so many people, and this was the truest statement when I was after I got from FAMU and got to LA, I got into a program at Harvard for 3 summers, and it was great. It was with the ART, the American Repertory Theater, and I studied under Susan Steinberg and David Willer. And David Willer directed Broadway, Pacino. He directed all these greats, and one of his students in his class was Matt Damon, who developed his movie, his script, Good Will Hunting, in there. And when I said, if he did that, then let me develop my script in there.
Come on now.
And that script became Stomp the Yard.
Wow.
So when I got there, I found out this man had worked with Matt Damon, and that project had gone on to win him an Oscar. So I said, then that's the class I need to be in. And when I went in there, he said, write what you know. And I said, I'm going to talk about the HBCU experience. He said, what is that? I explained to him what that was. He was completely enthralled with it. You know what I mean? He knew about different world. He knew about school days, but he didn't know it from the perspective of specifically the fraternity and sorority side of it. And I did that script in there. And then some 6 years later, that script becomes that movie. But what I realized was me seeing somebody else, if he can go in there and make Good Will Hunting, then I can go in this class and make something. Now, guess what? The thing I made didn't happen. It was like the bonsai tree, or those trees that are rooted in the ground that don't come and spring to life until 6-7 years later. But when it sprung to life, it was number one in America 2 weeks in a row and around the world. So it shows you that the belief of seeing somebody else do it and me going in there doing it was the proof in the pudding. But sometimes that proof doesn't happen immediately. Wow. Sometimes that proof gestates.
That's crazy because that's a regular watch for me.
Yeah.
I love me some Stump the Yard. I watch it every holiday, every break. I watch that movie every time that boy slide on his neck. I'm like, whoa, you know, that movie just spoke. And the thing is that you're writing what you know, but you're speaking everybody's experience. So when we go back to that theater, we go back to that content, we see ourselves. And so the goal is to write something that you know people, a million other people can relate to. And those things will return like I do. It's Stump the Yard and the 5 Heartbeats for me. Every single holiday.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Movies. This is amazing. First of all, this is so prophetic because I think what we're talking about is vision. And what we're talking about is people pursuing vision and not having this kind of one-hit wonder mentality about vision. It's not about getting to a point. It's about understanding the point of the point, right? And it's working in the space you're in, listening to others, truly collaborating with others, right? Because it's so great, the entertainment industry and the experience that you have translates on so many levels from a biblical, from a business, you know, and we lose that. We've lost that. We have lost that ability to have vision, to have a vision big enough to put other people in our vision. And
absolutely.
Other people in that field. Talk about, you know, the space now has changed. The game of distribution has changed. The basic script writing, content generation, that ain't changed, right?
Yes.
People talk about AI and the proliferation of AI. And I tell people all the time, artificial intelligence is not going to be it's going to be writing movies, but it's not going to be writing blockbusters. People are still going to be writing movies because you need human prompt. Can you talk about AI and the proliferation of AI, what that looks like to the future of film and how people can understand that?
Well, one of the things that I see is that by being one of the generations that came into the industry and only saw change,
right?
We changed so much in that time period between the 90s to today that it never stayed still. Where most of the generations in our industry, they stayed still for 10 or 15 years. Ours just changed and changed and changed and changed. Now, the blessing of that is the realization that the change happens, but the validity and who you are and the authenticity stays the same. And that's how you survive. So the same way that people said, well, what's going to happen when VHS is no longer here and it's DVD? How is that going to work? How are you going to make your projects? Are people really going to now just go to Blockbuster and get them? Yes, they will. Are people going to go to Redbox and get them? Yes, they will. Are people going to really stream stuff in their house? Yes, they will. Are people going to watch the entertainment on their phones? Yes, they will. So I feel like what has happened with AI is, although, yes, it is a scary thing because it is a new technology and and it's scary in all kinds of fields. I mean, from NASA to the medical field, you know, there's the idea of the proliferation of it. But what I realized is because we have existed and changed and have stayed and been able to survive change, I feel like we'll still survive this change. But the best way to do that is to be as authentic as we can. Because if you're being purely authentic, then the ideas are going to be coming to you from the ethers from above. They're going to be coming to you and connecting to you. And that's something that can only come from humanity.
Right. Absolutely.
So there's going to still have that. So the key is, how can you be as authentic as you can? And I always, one of the things I like today that wasn't as true then was, back then it was like, we want you to be like this, we want you to be like that. Now there's a lot more of, we want unique voices. We want something different. I think because people are seeing the idea of things are starting to become homogenized, and it'll be even more homogenized if a technology is also being part of it. So now the idea becomes, how can I be as authentic as possible? Because I've lived this specific life. This life is my life. How do I continue in every single scenario to tell this life story?
Yes.
And I think that that's the purest way to do it. I tell writers that are coming in, don't be afraid of the technologies. Don't be afraid of even the changing of the fact that, well, this company used to be here and now they no longer exist. Or we had 10 major distributors, and now there's 5.
Wow.
Well, some kind of way we're going to keep going, because Shakespeare was making it when there was no theater. And, Oscar Micheaux was making movies when there was no place for Black people to go and watch movies, but he was still making them and putting them out. The Chitlin Circuit was created because there was no circuit for us.
Right.
So if they could create a Chitlin Circuit, then we can definitely find a way to put movies out and still be unique.
Wow. Listen, I know we had you scheduled for 30 minutes and we're well over, but this has been...
Let's keep going.
Okay, let's keep going. Well, let's take the remaining, because you've shared with us so much on this journey. I want to dive, Christy, into this Christmas season.
Absolutely.
I want to dive into you coming back to Tallahassee, taking care of your father during a very critical time.
Absolutely.
And birthing Deck the Hallways.
Absolutely. So to tell you a little bit about how this all went down. So I had been a caregiver, but more from a like bird's eye view of a caregiver for my mother from about 2001 until she passed away in 2017. But with her, her sickness was like off and on, and she was younger than he was at that time, because this was her in her 70s and her 60s and her 70s. And so I had to help navigate driving her back and forth from Tallahassee to Atlanta, where I was living at that time, to go to Emory Hospital. So I had been doing that for a while, but I was still existing kind of in both worlds. But after she passed away, you have my father, who's in his 90s. Obviously, he's been teaching over 60 years.
Yes.
And here's this Superman, because he's teaching in his 90s. He's the oldest teacher on campus, longest running teacher at that time. COVID happens, the lockdown happens, and he has to stop this thing he loves. And it was like a lot of that was the life force kind of was taken, when there's this thing you've been doing since the 1950s to 2020. And so once I realized that was happening, I started coming here more and more. And then in this final year to year and a half, I realized it stopped being 50-50, and I started being here like 80-90, and more trying to make everything work. And this project, Deck the Hallways, was one of the scripts that I was trying to get made, along with the producers, who include Reuben Cannon, who is a well-known casting director, aficionado. He's the guy that put both Oprah and Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple, and he was the first African-American to head up a casting department, and that was at Warner Brothers in the 70s. And I mean, not black casting, not white casting, but casting. The head of that for television and film in the 70s. And so he's now a producer, and his business partner, Myers Swarting and Nicole. And we have been working on getting this project made for about 3 years. And that meant pitching it to places. If, you know, some people liked it, or they would say they wanted to do it and change their mind and all those kind of things, which is a regular thing in our industry. Can you survive the no's?
Right.
And then as soon as we get the yes, is when Dad's health began to really deteriorate.
Wow.
And I said, okay, so, okay, God, I said I wanted this. And I remember so vividly, we're at the hospital, we're at the TMH that's on Thomasville Road, which is like the offshoot, they're like satellite office. We're in that hospital in one of the rooms, and Dad is like, I know you're gonna still do that pitch. I know you're gonna still do that pitch. So it's me, Dad, and one of his caregivers, and I get on the Zoom just like this, and I'm doing the pitch. They see all the hospital stuff. They think I'm at a movie set, and I was like, no, this is real. And they were like, so like a reality show. I was like, no, like real, like a real hospital. This ain't Grey's Anatomy or ER. Wow. And they were like, well, we can postpone this. And I said, no, we're going to do this right now. This is the day the Lord made for us, and we're going to do this. We're going to leap again and meet this moment. And I had a great story to tell them, because I have a cousin here in Tallahassee named May. She's over the usher board at Bethel, and she's been watching Lifetime since the beginning of time. Wow. And so she would always say to me, when you going to do a Lifetime movie?
Wow.
And so Stomp the Yard goes #1 2 weeks in a row. That's nice, but when you going to do a Lifetime movie? You got Family Business guy. Oh, that's good, but when you going to do a Lifetime movie? So I told him that story. I did the pitch there, and maybe a week or so later, they called me. We were in the hospital, and they said, you can basically tell your cousin you got a Lifetime movie. Oh, and so Daddy was like, yes, he was excited. But then I realized the challenge ahead of trying to create a story. So I was writing this, they wrote this whole script in Tallahassee, and I was writing it in the different hospitals. He was at Centerpoint Rehab. He was at doctor appointments and all of that. And I was writing it that entire time because I said, I'm going to get this done. If I believed in this, I can get this done. And what it ended up doing was it really inspired the story, because it made it a story about a devotion and about resilience and about the ties that bind us. And my father had this poem that he really loved, and it's called The House by the Side of the Road. And if you've ever heard him speak around town, or his students would attest, this poem was by, I think, a guy named Sam Walter Foss, maybe pronouncing it wrong. But the poem was about like community and connection. And it talked about a highway of life, a road that represents like life's journey with its ups and downs, its hardships, and how you can be a friend and love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. And that became the driving force for the story, because I said, okay, God, this is what's going to inspire me. This is what's going to move this needle. I'm going to use everything that's happening to me and tell that through the story. Mm-hmm. And in this story, all the different characters in the story, in their own ways, as you watch the film, are going through changes, loss, grief, acceptance, all of these things in different kinds of ways, different forms of loss. Maybe loss of a job, a loss of a relationship, of a divorce, a loss of a family member, a loss of I thought I was going to get married and it didn't happen, a loss of my faith, all these different kinds of losses that they're going through in the apartments on this 5th floor. And by the end, they realize, as they work together, as they find that faith and support, they're able to find those things that they lost in a brand new way.
Wow. Let me. I want to stick a pin, because I want to ask you this, because it just hit me. Listening to you as you were writing, was this a form of healing or dealing with
Absolutely.
How would you
It became very therapeutic. I remember this one specific line, and that was happening at the point when the doctor said that this was all there was. And we kept praying, and our cousins had come in from all out of town, and students from FAMU had come to the hospital, and all these people that he taught were there, and they were praying and they were saying the poems. I remember this one gentleman walked in that was one of his Mason brothers, and he was a student of Dad's, and he said a poem. He walked into that hospital room, he started the poem, and he leaned down by Dad's ear and kept saying the poem. And it's a poem that Dad would say, but this guy knew it. And this guy's in his 50s, and he learned this poem at like 18 years old. And as I'm sitting there and I'm dealing with the realization of this, I thought of myself and the people in this room and what change does. And there's a quote that happens in the film, and you'll see it in the trailer. And it says, you have to figure out who you are when what defines you is gone.
Wow.
And as I'm looking there, I'm looking and saying, what's defined me has been based on the journey of my parents, the journey of the men and women in this community who helped raise and rear us, the experiences that I had with my friends and family at FAMU, and all of these things define me. And now that these things are disappearing from the earthly realm, who am I? And Loretta Devine's character asked that of one of the other characters who is losing his job and thinking that his job is what made him.
Right.
And she's essentially telling him what made you wasn't the job.
Wow.
What made you is internal. And then he in turn tells her, as her husband has passed away, yes, you were a wife, but before you were a wife, you were here. And that means that thing that you still have inside of you, it still exists. And as long as you're here, you have to continue to give that to the world. Because if you're holding it in and not sharing it, then are you really even living? Wow. And so that was very therapeutic for me.
Wow.
Have mercy. Have mercy.
Wow. I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
And is this a romance? Is this a?
Yeah. So this is what's so interesting. So what I realized was we were laughing, but we were laughing to keep from crying. So I said, this is a comedy. This is a comedy drama, right? But the comedy comes from the real life, right? And it's very, very funny. But when you watch it, you realize that the big part of us making it funny is because it's relatable. And it's because the characters are doing everything they can to run away from their issues.
Wow.
And in doing that, they're stumbling, they're falling, they're making mistakes, they're doing crazy things because they're not facing up to the realities of their life.
Wow. And
so that makes for this really, really great comedy. And then ultimately you have the not only the Loretta Devine character that refines love after loss, you have her granddaughter who has just had a horrific breakup.
Right.
And one of her childhood friends who's just gotten out of divorce that are going to take the risk and find love again.
Wow.
So it's like, can you find yourself again in whatever way it is? So it is a comedy, but I think comedy, the best comedy comes from real life. It comes from not, I'm going to try to make you laugh, but you and your best friend or you, one of your coworkers, and something crazy happened, and all you can do is laugh. Because if you don't laugh, y'all are just going to be like, I'm going to crumble right now.
Yes, goodness.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I tell you, this hour has just literally, flown by.
Yeah.
Tell the audience how they can see Deck the Hallways.
Absolutely.
I know it aired December the 6th first, but
absolutely. So there's multiple ways for you to watch the movie. So I'm going to take you through the ways. So first, I'm going to take you the easiest way to do it. And hopefully I'm going to send this link and you can put this on you all's socials and everything so all the people can go there. There's a website link on Lifetime that if you click that link, it'll take you right to the movie and you can watch it at any point at any time. And it's in that press release I sent you all. It's at that play.mylifetime.com. Sure. And if you go to that play.mylifetime.com, and that's /movies/deck the hallways, but they're going to have that link on all their socials. You go to that link right there and you can watch the movie at any point, anytime you want to. Now, if you have cable, you can watch it on demand at any point or any time. Or if you want to check your local listings, you can check your local listings and you can watch it, because I know that it's coming on Friday. This coming Friday, I believe it's at 10 o'clock p.m. And then again next week. So just check your local listings so you can watch it as well. But the best thing to do is to go to this show's social media, the show that we're on right now, Greg's show, my namesake. Go to his site. He's going to put the link up.
Absolutely.
You push that link, and I'm sure you look at the link right now, right? You got the link. Put that link up. You push that link, and boom, it takes you to the movie, right? And you can watch the movie. And what's really wonderful is at the end of the film, they put up Dad's face, and it says "in memory of Dr. Osterfield Anderson." And that wasn't my idea. I really want to thank the executives at Lifetime because they were living through this process with me, because as I was writing this, I was on Zooms with them. I was on FaceTimes with them. I was on calls, and they were praying for him, and they were devastated too when they heard he passed away. And I got a call from one of the producers and said, the executives at Lifetime, they want to dedicate the movie to your father. Wow. They said they didn't get to know him, but they could feel his spirit through this movie. And so the movie is dedicated in memory of him. And if you wait to the end, right before the credits, you will see his face and the in memoriam to him.
Wow. I want to ask you this, Greg, real quick. And how did this change your life?
Well, you know what it really did? I think that up to this point, I've mainly written out of just pure artistry, or writing for fun, or writing for a job. A lot of times it was writing for a gig, writing to get to the next writing to push myself and our team forward, that kind of thing. And I think this was the first time where I had to write in a space where it was hugely challenging and it became therapeutic. And I've heard a lot of writers talk about how they use writing as therapy. And I believe this was probably the first time where it was writing as therapy. It was writing as me putting my soul into something that is comedy, is Christmas, is romance, is all of these things. But at the same time, I'm able to say through the characters all these different things that I'm feeling, but in a way that is not biographical, is fictional, but in the spirit they're going through that same journey.
Wow. Well, Christine, closing remarks, your thoughts. I mean, this has been amazing.
Well, I will close with the words of the poem, "The House by the Side of the Road."
Yes.
It says at the end, "Let me live in my house by the side of the road where the race of men go by. They are good, they are bad. They are weak, they are wise, foolish. So am I. Then why should I sit in this corner seat or hurl the cynic man? Let me live in my house by the side of the road and be
a friend of man." That's what he would say in class. I could hear his voice right there. Thank you so much for that.
Wow.
That was what he would say. If you ask his students, he would say that. he would see them. He said, and he would look outside his window because his window looked out on the set, his Jackson Davis, and he would see the students, and he would say, these are students that are having issues or good days or bad days, but what can I be here in my position to be a friend to them?
Wow.
And that's what happens in this movie. The neighbors in this movie, through the course of this film, they're on the house by the side of the road. They're in apartments by the side of the road, and they are supporting each other. Yes.
Wow. Well, listen, for all of those who are listening to the broadcast and to those who are listening through the airways, we want you to go to the link. We want you to go to Lifetime. We're going to post it, and we want to watch. Greg, I mean, I know you've been back and forth in and out the city. When's your next visit? Something just came to my mind, so I want to see when your next visit.
It'll definitely be. Well, I'm going to come here for Christmas Day, but I'll definitely be here early in the new year because there's a lot of stuff I still have to do. So I'll keep you posted and let you know.
Because what I was thinking, man, we just have a watch party when you come. We just go ahead on and fill up TNL Center and just have a watch party.
I like that.
Well, let me let you know. Hey, what I'll do if I know I'm going to be here for a longer period of next week or the next week, then we can do it. I'll keep you posted.
Keep me posted. I
mean,
mean,
a listening party.
Yeah, a listening party because you drop so much nuggets, and there's so many people responding in the chat about some of the things you were saying. So I'm saying, what if we was to have a watch party and we all come together, 200-300 people, sit, look at the movie, and just enjoy you. Listen, it's been amazing having you with us today, Christine. How do we define this moment?
We got to sit in our house by the side of the road and be a friend of man.
That's it.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Greg Anderson.
Thank you.
The movie Deck the Hallways. You need to make plans to click the link, watch Lifetime. It's scheduled to show this Friday and throughout the month of December, but you can watch it wherever you will, however you will, with as many people as you will once you click the link. And stay tuned. Listen, once Greg give us the word that he's going to be here for a period of time, maybe a day or so, we're going to schedule a watch party, sit with him, enjoy the movie with him, and make it a historical moment right here in the city of Tallahassee. Listen, once again, thank you so much, man.
Thank you
for joining us. I know you gave me 30 minutes, but we did an hour.
I'm so grateful to you. I really am, and I'm glad. I really wanted this to honor him because one of the pastors in Los Angeles, he kept saying to me, is there a way that you're going to be able to honor him? Because that's the best way for people to pass on that grief in a way that's positive. And I said, I think I've already done that through this film. And then a week or so later, the network said they wanted to honor him that way. And I just wanted to, share that with him. And like I said in the article in the Democrat, it's not just dedicated to him. It's dedicated to all these men and women who raised us in this city of Tallahassee. It's an ode to them.
Wow.
I love it.
I love it. Well, hey, listen, this has been an amazing show right here. Oh, Rachel Baker said, I enjoyed the show. Bless you, Rachel. So many people from Family High tuned in. Hey, listen, it's been an amazing show right here on Hallelujah 95.3. And we're getting ready for Christmas. We are here. This is it. Deck the Hallway.
And I am decked to tired. It is wearing these children programs, these church programs, these end of the year parties. They are wearing me slap out. Prayers out to all the mamas and all the aunties and all the grandmas and daddies and uncles who are going to all this stuff because it is in high gear right now.
Wow. Well, listen, let me make this big announcement. Come Saturday over on 4409 Bluntstown Highway. It's the Community Vendors Day from 10 to 5. And I guarantee you on the big screen, we're going to have Deck the Hallways playing. So while you're looking through vendors and you make your way through the church sanctuary, you can take a seat, take a look. So we're going to do that. Big shouts out to Shirley Pittman.
Yes.
She's working hard. And we want you to come out from 10 to 5. Bluntstown Highway. We're going to have vendors come in the yard. You get a chance to shop with some people who look just like you.
And from 12 to 1, you'll have the opportunity, if you're a property owner or you want to be a property owner, we're going to have a full out session to be able to talk about real estate, the yeses and the nos and everything in between. And anybody that owns a property you don't know what to do with, that has a property situation you don't know what to do with, or you want to own a property and you don't know how to go about it, come on out. It's going to be a free for all. Nobody's going to be sold on anything. The only thing you're not going to be sold. You're going to be told. And that's what that spirit of 12 to 1 is going to be. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, when Auntie say, come bring your stuff,
You
got
got
to
to
come bring your stuff.
All right. With all of that being said, Greg, we're going to put it on you for the final words to the many audience listeners that are tuned in.
I just want to say thank you, and I love you all, Tallahassee and surrounding areas, and just enjoy Deck the Hallways, and I hope it gives you a really good feeling and reminds you of all the great Christmases we've had in the city, and I hope that it honors my father in any way possible to all his former students.
Yes.
Yeah. But God bless you. Hey, tune in again next week. Hallelujah 95. No, will we be here next week? No, we will not be here
on
next
vacation.
week.
We'll be on reruns next week. Yes.
All right. Until then, listen, y'all have an amazing day. Stay tuned now because the watch party, it's coming.
Yes, it's coming. It's coming.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, man. We'll chat.
Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thank you so much.
It's amazing. That's amazing.